Bonjour classe et bienvenue à la leçon pour aujourd'hui. So today you are not working at school. It's not your in-person day. So whether you are group 1, 2, or whether you are fully virtual, today's a day where you are all working from home. And so the working from home days, I want to try and reduce how many lessons you have or how much input you have, and like the amount of Google Forms and that kind of thing. So we won't always have a video, but for today's lesson, I felt the best way actually to teach you this was via a video. So sometimes we're going to spend like maybe a day, a week, or every couple of weeks looking at like a grammar topic. And so this one is actually going to be our biggest grammar feature for this unit, maybe for this year. So it's going to look a little bit different to things we've done before. So it's a grammar lesson today. And it is on a group of verbs called ER verbs. And the reason why it is so big, they are probably the most common. So let's get stuck into the lesson and what you need. You are going to be taking notes today. So, and then you're going to take notes based on this video. So you can pause as you go through. Like, this is kind of good because in the classroom, some people are really fast and some people are really slow at taking notes. So actually by doing it the video at home kind of works well for everybody. You can go as fast as you want or as slow as you want, but don't be sloppy. Okay. So, and then we're going to end with a short practice on Power Score now, which is different. We've not done that before either. So, yeah, a few different things today, but I think you guys can handle it. You've been doing really well. So I'm just going to stop sharing this screen and go to a different screen. So when you take notes, for today's lesson, I really don't mind how you take them, but the important thing is that you take them to keep, to remember, to reflect back, to refer back to, okay? All of my students, no matter when I've taught them, whether it's been traditional or the new way I'm teaching or during COVID, anytime, these notes always, I tell you to keep them. And students keep them all throughout 3 years of French or 4 years of French. So if you want to if you have a French notebook, you want to take your pen and paper, go ahead, that would be wonderful. I don't need to see necessarily evidence today that you've taken these notes, but you would just be really unwise if you didn't take these notes, because that's the only thing you have to do today. Okay, but if you don't have pen and paper, or you're kind of super messy and you don't keep track of stuff like that, then I have also shared with you something on which you have access to on a Google Drive. So I've created a new folder for grammar, so I'll drop things in here as we learn them. Right now, the only thing that I want you to focus on is this one for ER verbs. So this is actually a docx, because this is something that I have printed off, like I've done it for the past couple of years for my students. Obviously for you guys who are at home, so I'm not printing it. If you have a printer at home, you can print it. You can download this as a docx and complete it on your computer and save it to your hard drive. Or you can open with Kami if you want to. You can open it with Google Docs. You can annotate it with Kami. When I've done it like this, this is what it looks like, and I've given you permission to be able to make a copy of it, to be able to download it. So you can create, whoa, that was not what I meant to do. You can create like a text box for it. You guys are familiar. However you want to take notes, feel free to. If you're going to use this, then I am following this format for taking notes. So you're going to take notes here, 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 and here, and that'll be it for today. And whatever you do, save it. You don't need to turn this in to me. This is your copy of your notes so that you can be really good at French. Okay. So pause the video if you need to. Go ahead, get what you need to take your notes on for today. And then we're going to continue. Okay, so in French, there are 3 groups of verbs. You can tell which group the verb is in by the ending. So the 3 different endings are ER, IR, and RE. I'm actually going to get my pen out to annotate for you guys as we go. What color? Vert, vert. Okay, So ER, IR, and RE. These are the ends of the verb. So look at this end right here. This is the verb aimer, which we've been looking at and you've been using, or you've been listening to at least. And so this is the ER ending verb that we are going to focus on. All verbs that end in ER and the pattern that they follow for using these verbs. Okay, so right here I put make a list of all the other ER ending verbs you know so far. So I just want you to pause the video for like 10 seconds and have a little think to yourself, what are other verbs that you know that end in ER? So this verb is to like. I like, you like, do you like, he likes. What other verbs do we know so far that end in ER? Okay. One other verb that we know is adorer, adore. So j'adore, adorer ends in ER. To love, j'adore, adorer. Another one that we know is jouer. We haven't done it this a lot, but a little bit. Jouer, which is to play, like jouer au jeu vidéo. Oh, I know a big one. Regarder. Which is to watch, like to watch TV. So we have done some of these, maybe some more will come up as we go through. The opposite of to love and to like is détester. Détester, je déteste. Which is a cognate, right? To detest. So to hate. Okay. So you see that there are a lot, and we are going to look at these together. So I want you to make sure that this is in your notes. You can just put in your, if you're making your own notes rather than using that paper, then your own notes can be common ER verbs or ER ending verbs, and just make a list: aimer, détester, jouer, adorer, regarder. If you have any others, you can add other ones on there that you know. The only one that is not is this one over here. Aller ends in ER, but it is not regular. So it does not follow this rule that we are not going to look at this one today. It's the only one. Okay, you can pause this video at any time that you need to copy your notes down. Okay, so we've already said that the verb I like, that the verb aimer is the verb to like. So how do you say I like? I like chocolate, I like school, I like French. So we'd say j'aime. J'aime means I like. So look at the verb here, aimer, but where's the R gone? It's changed, right? This verb has changed. Aimer has changed slightly. So the rule in French is that the ending of the verb changes to reflect the different subject. A subject means a person or a thing. So in this sentence, je is the subject, I is the subject, and like is the verb. And we have this too in English. Like can change if this changes. I like, you like, he likes. In English, we call that the third person S. So you might not know much English grammar. I know I didn't when I was studying English at school. I didn't learn English grammar. But every language has its rules. And this is the same for French. So we're going to look at what the pattern of endings is. Okay, and because I've told you that we're going to look at all the ones that follow with the rule, so all of them except aller, you'll know that pattern. And you'll recognize that pattern really easily when you read and when you hear French, but knowing how to use it for yourself when you come to write is harder. So this is something we're going to keep coming back to. It's going to be something which will constantly, you'll see the whole time at French 1, 2, 3. It is like a base verb. So really cool to learn this early on. Okay. Oops. So let's have a look at these verb conjugations. Should I just type this up for you? Yeah, because I think sometimes my writing on here is not so great. So this is a verb table. All of our verb tables in French look like this. Let me see. I'm going to make all of these a little bit bigger. Okay. And so the first one is je. The first subject is je. Je means I. The next one is tu. Tu means you. Next one we have in this category is il, elle. Il ou elle. We have other ones too. A new pronoun, I say new, it's still not official in France, but it's coming in there, is il, which means, which is a gender neutral pronoun. So not he or she, but kind of like they for he or she. And then there's another one in French, you should probably expand this out that way, called on, which is like one person in general. Okay, so I don't need to worry too much about this one right now. You'll see this more as we progress. You've definitely seen il and elle, and il as well you will come across here or there. Okay, just depending on personal preference. We also have nous. Nous means we. Vous also means you, but we use it when we're talking to people in a formal context. So somebody who's older than you, in a position of authority over you. Or we use it when I'm saying you, like you all of you students, like a group of you. And that's the same as this one here. If we use il plural, elle plural, this means they for groups of people. Okay, so that's a quick run through. You are most familiar with this first three, and that's perfectly fine. Most of the time you're going to be using these, and this is going to be your comfort zone. That's okay, but we can't complete the table without knowing all 6 and all 6 endings, okay? And you'll recognize these, the use of these. I know it's going to take you a little bit longer to get there. That's okay. All right, I'm going to change the color. Oh, not highlight color. Text color. Okay. Oh. Okay, so what we do when we conjugate, we take off first step. And if you have this in your notes on the cami paper, then it's already there. But if you don't, the first thing you do is take off the ER ending. So each one is going to be M. Okay, and I'm going to make these all into the same color because I just didn't really think about what I was doing. Usually we just do this in class and it's a little faster. Okay, and I'm going to get rid of that because the j'aime becomes j'aime. So you take off the ER ending. That goes away right here. So you're left with what we call the stem. Now, this is a lot of grammar points just flying right at you. Some of this, it's okay if you're just like, I'm never going to remember that. But some of you are going to soak this up. So I'm just going to put here, you're left with the stem. So we call that the stem. Then add your new endings. And this is what I'm going to put in a different color. So how would you say I like? J'aime, what letter goes at the end here? J'aime. Tu aimes? Il, elle, on. Any guesses what letter? M. Okay, so you've probably seen at least j'aime, you've seen, and il ou elle aime. Maybe not so much seeing some of these ones. So for nous, the ending is ONS. Vous, it is Z. And for il, elle, plural, ente. Okay, I'm going to present that, and you can pause the video. Once that bottom thing has gone away, you can pause the video here and make sure you have this nice and clear in your notes. Okay, before I move on from the slide, it's really useful to kind of make the connection between the spelling and the sound. And you can even write this to the side in a different color if you want to remember the sound of how it's pronounced. Okay, because in French, a lot of these endings don't get pronounced, and sometimes they do. I'm going to read them to you, and let me see if I can point out as I go. So I'm going to read this first one. J'aime, tu aimes, il aime, nous aimons, vous aimez, ils aiment. Okay, so that's the sound. J'aime, tu aimes, il aime. So you see how the sound sounds the same. M, M, M. You don't hear this S. M, M, M. Here you hear more of the sound, but still not the S. So aimons, aimer, aime. Now this sound, you do not hear this sound. It sounds the same. M, 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 M. These ones are the only ones which sound different. Nous aimons, vous aimez. That means when you're talking, you don't really hear the sounds, the endings. So a lot of this grammar comes into play mostly when we're writing. Okay. So feel free to repeat that back. I'm going to say it one more time and pause, and you can repeat it to yourself. J'aime, tu aimes, elle aime, nous aimons, vous aimez, ils aiment. So you notice that this sound here has a Z sound because we've got this S next to this A, so it has a Z sound. Z, Z, Z. It's not spelled like that, but it's pronounced like that. Okay, so go ahead, pause as you need to. Write on your notes, they're your notes, any pronunciation that you need to, any other things that you want to remember. I'm going to just recap really quickly on what each of these pronouns mean in case you want to write that in there too. So je is I, tu is you, but we use this you if it's singular, so for one person, and if it's informal. So talking to your friends, if I talk to you guys, because you're younger than me and you're my inferiors, just joking, but you're my students, so I would always tutor you. I would always refer to you as tu. This one, this is still singular, so we're talking about he, she. EL is gender neutral, so a gender neutral kind of they. And then on is more like one. One might say this, one might say that. We don't really use that very much in English, at least in American English. So that this one can mean one or we informally. You know, like people in general, like Americans in general, or the French people in general do this or do that, we would use on. Nous is we. Vous is another you. but it's like the opposite of to. It is used for formal situations. So when you use it with strangers, people you don't know, it's a more formal situation. Or for plural, so it's like you would use it for saying you all, y'all. Okay, all of you guys. So I use this when I'm referring to all of you students at one time, like how are you all doing today? I would use vous. If I'm talking to just one person, how are you doing today? I would use this one. This is probably the biggest difference, is this one right here. I feel like for English people to get their heads around the fact that there's two ways of saying you. And then this one here means they. And we use this for masculine and feminine. So a group that are just a boys or boys and girls. And we use this one only if we're referring to groups entirely made up of girls. Okay, so just a quick recap. Today's lesson is about ER verbs, but if you wanted that little bit extra, then that's going to stay on the screen. And I'm going to clear it away right now. Okay, and we can move on. This video won't play through Zoom, so this video right here I'm going to put a link to on PowerSchool, but it is a, I play this every year in all my classes, but it's a 30-second song where a different class, a different French class, not one of mine, but on YouTube, have created just a song to memorize the endings. And it's amazing how powerful songs can be to memorize endings. And a lot of my students, if you ask my French 2, not really my French 2, my French 3 or, yeah, my 3 students, they will say that they remember this. So I'm not going to sing it to you, but you can play that song. Like I said, it's 30 seconds. And it might help you in remembering how the endings for ER verbs. Okay, the next couple of things you're going to add to your notes are example sentences. So just learning grammar out of context is not the best way to learn. You've seen a lot of grammar in context so far, and so this is a couple more. So I just want you to write these sentences down or copy them out. And with each one, you see the verb aimer. This one is j'aime. J'aime le chocolat. Tu aimes le week-end? Question. Elle déteste les chats. Voilà. So it's really helpful to copy these down. So you have 1, 2, 3, just 3 examples for you. You can see how the endings go. The endings match the subject. Voila. Okay, pause, type these, and then I'm going to clear the drawings. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to do is how to make a negative sentence. A negative sentence is where in English we say I don't like this, I don't want to go here, I don't eat chocolate, I don't. So a negative sentence doesn't mean you're being a negative Nancy. It just means don't. It's the equivalent of like saying I don't do this or I don't do that in English. Okay, and to do that we need to use ne pas. Now this again is something that you've seen. You've heard je n'aime pas. You would recognize that if you saw it, je n'aime pas. The reason we're taking these notes is so that you can practice using it and writing it yourself, which is a little harder. Okay, so the rule is that you put ne and pas going around the verb. So the verb is aime, ne pas goes around. Ne pas goes around the verb déteste. So she hates cats. She does not hate cats. Elle ne déteste pas les chats. Okay, so you can go ahead and copy these down, but I know that you're going to see a slight difference here between ne and then an apostrophe. You're like, where's the E gone? Why is the N apostrophe? This is the same word right here. N and pa. This is the same N and M. The problem in French is we can't have N, N, N. They just don't, it just doesn't ever happen. N and M can't be that close to each other because of the two vowel sounds. So we get rid of the E, and now we signify that there was an E there with the apostrophe. Okay, it's just like in English how we have it is, and then we get rid of the, and have that apostrophe which signifies that there was one there. Okay, so let me just get rid of this. Sorry if that confuses you, but that seems to help me and some students. So ne and the N apostrophe is the same. It's the negative. Je n'aime pas, elle ne déteste pas. And this absolutely has to go around the verb. You can't put elle ne pas déteste, or elle déteste ne pas, or elle ne pas déteste les chats, or elle déteste ne les chats pas. No, the students struggle in how to use this. So just make it really clear in your notes, and we're just going to practice. We're going to practice over the next few weeks, over the next few months, and I just want you to always come back to these notes to check if I underline an error in your work. You're going to come back and refer back to where the nut and pad goes. Okay, so you can practice it right. Okay. So once you're done, you are done with taking notes. The last thing is you're going to test yourself. So on Power School, there is a kind of a quiz, like a test yourself. I think it's an assessment actually on Power School. That's how I put it in. And you basically have these 5 sentence starters, and then you have these 5 sentence ends, and you have to match them up. Okay. So match them up and complete that on Power School. That is going to be worth a grade. So, but you have a little bit of time to practice. You can use this video to do it. So clue is, okay, and I won't do je because you'll probably be like, that's so easy, help me with a harder one. So let's take number 3, nu. Okay, so you have to go back on your notes. What is the ending for nu? So let me kind of click back through. Oh, well, let's use this one that's on the video. So nu has an ONS ending, right? Okay, so let's look down this list. Which one has an ONS ending? Yes, this one has an ONS ending. So this is the O. Do any of the others? No. So this is the only one that could get matched up. This is the only one that could get matched up. Nous aimons le chocolat. Okay, so that's what you're doing. I'm giving you the first one or the third one. I've given you one to make sure that you at least get 1 out of 5. And I know that you can do better. So just look at the endings. You have ES, EZ, ENT, and just E. So those are your endings. Go back through your notes and check, and you should be able to do this wonderfully well just for practice. Okay? Merci beaucoup. Au revoir, class.